70% of Chicago voters are unhappy with the mayor's job on the migrant crisis. Chicago voters are pretty mad. They say Mayor Brandon Johnson is basically not caring for the people who live in Chicago, people who work in Chicago, and especially the Chicago middle class. The middle class recently is always getting screwed every single day from every single policy. And essentially, Chicago is spending a lot of money on the migrant crisis. So much money to the point that they're never going to be opening up that South Chicago, state-owned grocery store. They thought about opening one in South Chicago because of all the food deserts, because there's, a lot of people who make like $30, $40, $50,000 a year, right? Somewhere in the middle class who live in a lot of these parts of Chicago. They're not rich enough to live in the wealthy places. And many of these places have food deserts. They want to have a place to shop for clean food and fresh produce. But the city's like, you know what? Instead of opening up a grocery store for you guys, let me just dump a bunch of migrants in your city. That's exactly what's going on. In fact, Chicago Democrat here literally goes off on how the city is handling the migrant crisis. So essentially says that Chicago is literally using all their funds to shelter migrants, while their own people, the millions of Chicago people who live in the area, get nothing. People want, for example, a slight tax break for small businesses. Not happening. Landlords who have commercial real estate that have went down in value is begging for a property tax cut. Not happening. People who need a grocery store in big food deserts. That's never happening. You wish. So this is what's happening here. They're like, you could spend hundreds of millions of dollars on the migrant crisis, something that a lot of people are just not happy about, but just keeps doubling down every single day. And then the people who actually live in Chicago is basically getting hammered right now. There's even a lot of people who live in Chicago that said that they were about to just get public housing and then they get turned away. And many of them actually were forced to live on the streets. This is what Chicago is. This is what a lot of these sanctuary cities are. If you live in these sanctuary cities and you're a hard working class American, good luck. You're going to be screwed. I think the working class American, the middle class, have been screwed for several decades at this point, but it's never to this level, to the point where even the suburbs right now are going to be taking up migrants. In fact, Mayor Brandon Johnson even says that, hey man, we don't have enough shelters. We took in tens of thousands of people. How about you house some of these migrants? This is what's happening here, and many suburbs just don't have the capacity, the money, or the size to suddenly house thousands and thousands of people. And no matter if it's poor suburban communities or super rich suburban communities are all asked essentially to take in some of these migrants. Nobody's happy. People are like, what in the world are you doing? Why are you doing this? There are so many people on the streets. Nobody has jobs. Nobody knows what in the world is going on. And this is the scenario right now. It sucks. There's even Chicago Democrats, communities where 97% of them voted for Biden, is now suing Mayor Brandon Johnson for literally housing migrants in their parks. That's a jewel crown of the community. And this is what's happening here. Oh, you live in this city? You live in this community? You have a nice park? Well, screw you. I'm going to build a massive homeless shelter here for the migrants. Do you really think the community is going to be happy about that? Absolutely not. Okay, Chicago is struggling to care for more than 35,000 asylum seekers right now. Okay, 2 Chicago residents have forced the city to abandon plans to use their community buildings as migrant shelters. We're already seeing skating rinks. We're seeing recreational parks. We're even seeing schools being converted into just massive shelters. This is literally making the lives of middle-class Americans harder than ever before. And if you guys think taking away parks and recreational space is tough, just wait till you start seeing the taxes. Chicago has the second highest commercial property tax in the world, with number 1 being Detroit. Now, in the U.S., Chicago commercial property taxes are extremely high, and Mayor Brandon Johnson also adding in to more taxing of big businesses, but also small businesses, and more taxing in commercial property transfers, which is the blood of Chicago. Chicago has huge commercial office transfer deals every single week. And when you add in like a 3 to 5% tax on the transfer fees, that pretty much prevents many people from wanting to buy and sell Chicago real estate. Chicago is literally bleeding themselves dry with the whole migrant situation. They're literally begging people for cash because they already spent $156.2 million on the migrant crisis. And they also will be spending another $150 to $200 million this year in 2024. So they're spending mad cash, mad racks. They're burning through hundreds of millions of dollars with nothing to show for. And nobody here is happy at all. There's even Denver migrants, guys. If you guys think this is a Chicago problem, Denver is also experiencing this as well. So let's see what happens. Chicago is pushing out the middle class, high taxes. It's very tough to open businesses. And it seems like all they're focusing on right now is just the migrant crisis. Oh, your business isn't making money? Too bad. Thanks for watching, guys. Comment below, and see you later.